So the first of the templates we're going to look at, this is to help you business consultants go through it so you can take your clients through it. It's the business model template, and as you know, with Olympic Sprint business coaching, it's key. When we're talking to startups, we don't really talk about the business plan, because business plans are really at the behest of someone else. The bank or someone who's going to let, or someone else wants you to do a business plan, and you tailor it for what they want to hear. Really, we want to do a good business model template that drills down into everything that will get the business off to a great start. And it's something, if you catch a business that's already started, it's also good to go back through the business model template. It'll really help people. So this is the business model template. What we tend to do is blow this up, a model of this, draw it or print it out at, what do you call that now? Probably A2, A0 side, a big size, a bit like the flip chart paper, that size, turned, what do you call that, landscape. Put it on the wall, stick it on the wall, just like this. And what we tend to do is use, rather than write on it, put post-it notes on it. When you put an answer, stick a post-it note, because every time you go back to it, you want to see what you had before, what you've built upon, because this is something you don't do it in one go, right? It's one, it's one sheet, as it were, but it's a big thing. So your first of all, we tend to do is ask the client questions to see where they're at in terms of their knowledge of their own business and how it's going to work, and then it gives you something to build on, to discuss, and then one builds layers upon layers until it becomes you've exhausted in it, and you can see it really has now become robust. Okay, so the first thing is you'll see the holes in it. So you're talking about product availability, and this is where is both the where's the product available now in terms of what other people supply, and where will your product be available, or service, when you put it out there. So where is it going to be available, and to whom, as it were. So you want to examine that. And definitely you're looking at what's already there, how available is the product. This is all to do with competition and so on. So you're looking at that. Where is the product going to be available? Where is it already available? And from whom? Suppliers, depending on the product or service. Even if it's services, you need if it's a massage business, you need massage therapist, if you like. And if it's drinks, you need to have a supplier of the drinks, whatever it is. So who are your suppliers? Who are your favourite suppliers? What deals do they have with the suppliers? How sure are they of getting a good deal from these suppliers? If they talk to them a lot, are they in there with them? But then also it's going to be, what about alternative suppliers? We all know that you can't build a business on one supplier. Sometimes you have to because of the nature of the business. But really, you want to dig down to make sure that they can't be held to ransom by one supplier. So how much work have they done to ensure there are alternative suppliers, even if it takes longer or something, or it costs a bit more money to get from those suppliers. Drill down, make sure they have suppliers. But again, at the beginning, you're actually just asking them what they already have and what they know, and then you will take them through and see the holes in the template. So of course, product cost and margin. So a lot of this boils down to financial literacy, I call it. Does your client understand financial terms? Do they understand, we call break even and margins and, fixed cost and variable costs and commission? Do they understand how things work? VAT, do they understand the implications of things and charges? And so when they work at a product cost, have they built in, essential losses? If you buy 10 of something, but you always you're like to lose one, then you have to increase, work out the price accordingly, the cost accordingly. So really, it's have they really worked out their costs and taken into account everything they should take into account, and worked out a suitable margin. And then later on, it's going to be, are those margins, are they industry standards? Are they below industry standards or norms? Or are they above? So that's the thing. We haven't, later on, obviously, we've not even looked at the pricing psychology and so on, and strategy. That's a different thing. But just have they actually worked out their costing properly, properly, and are they able then to talk about their margins with knowledge. Now, transaction locations depends. It's all about where do the clients, the customers, do their transaction. Is it sitting in front of a computer at home? Is it in the shop, in the coffee shop? Is it on the street? Where do they actually do their transactions? So we clear, where are they going to do this business? And sometimes there are legal implications to that, sometimes not. But it's being aware that are you talking to people in their pajamas? Are you talking to people in their suits? Are you talking to people in a hurry? Where do they do the transaction? Then, let's be clear. Just go back to that transaction. People have to be clear that you may advertise something, but where will they actually be when they make the decision to buy, and transfer the money, as it were. Interaction points are to do with if you've got the interest of a customer, and you've generated a lead, as it were, and you're interested, they're interested. Where do you interact? Where are they able to ask a question? Where are you able to influence their decision? In all of that, if it's something sold on the internet, is that they just click, they buy, and that's it. So you know nothing about them. You notice that some internet sites now, they have a live chat. You go on the site and it says, "Hey, hello, can we help you?" And there's someone there ready to answer your question. It's an interaction point. If you're in a coffee shop, then of course, as the customer goes into the shop, there's an interaction point because you can welcome them. There's also an interaction point when they go to the till. Alright, so work out where the interaction points are. They have to know. First, we're asking the client, do they know where they are? Because this is where you can influence your clients or potential clients. Right, so you have to know that. And then this leads us on to the receipts and handling of funds. Again, are they clear about how they'll handle funds? How will the funds get into the bank account? How will they collect the money from the? Is it all going to be cash? Is it going to be credit cards? PayPal or something like that? Is it via the internet? Is it face to face? Do you have to take a payment over the telephone? So how do they get the funds? How is it recorded? How do people get their receipts? How are the funds handled when they come through? How do they get from, the waiter's pocket into the bank account? From the till to the bank account? From the market stall? How are they received? And how do the funds get recorded? And then how do they reach where they're supposed to reach, their final destination in terms of the sale? Usually, let's say the bank account. Right? So is that clear? Right? Because often businesses, he goes mad. They don't know what to do with the money. So someone's left it. It's left overnight. It should be left in the till overnight. Is it in the bag? What happens? So yeah, have they got that right? Or at least do they have a system in place? You can talk about, you're the business consultant, you can talk about whether they've got it right or not later date. Distribution channels are clear. How does the customer get their goods or services? How do they get it? Is it something sent by post? Are you going to the house to deliver something? Are they coming to you? How do they pay for something, how does it get to them? And has it been thought about? Is it all sent by courier? Is it sent by first class mail, which has its, all these things? Is it recorded delivery? Is it insured? All these things. So do you send out your own people to deliver? Do you use another service? So you're asking, has it been thought about? Because of course, again, one can drill down on that, the benefits of the distribution channels they've chosen. And again, one will look at the industry as well they're in, or a complementary industry, and see if that is, is that the standard way? Is it the only way? Is it the best way? So you need to know the distribution channels. Do they know them? Methods of purchase in terms of, well, again, it goes to the interaction points. How do they buy something? They like something. How do they now make they make this, I like that, I want to buy it, I want to purchase it. How do they do it? Is it clear? Is there a clear method that takes someone from from being an interested, a lead, and takes them through to how they can buy? Obviously, if there's an interaction point in a shop, someone comes in, you can say, "Would you like to buy, sir?" You can do that. But what have they got in place? Is there something online? How does the customer actually make the purchase? How do they click the button, buy? What do they have to do? Or do they go in, to your shop, look around? There's no obvious way of buying, so they walk back out. All these things you have to work out. If they've got, it sounds strange, but people often have not thought about that. So you're making sure they've thought about that, and then again can it be improved? Is that the only way? Should they have more than one method? You look at these supermarkets now. You've got some of them it's all automated, but you have the self-service tills, and you've got the normal tills with the cashiers there. So it's almost like two different methods of purchase. You can walk in and just scan it yourself, and you can walk in and line up at the till, and people have their favourites. So think about that. And then we're talking about customer description, and that's really about, do they know who their target customer is? And when I say description, I really mean going down into the demographics, who they are, give them a name. Is it Tom? How old is he? What work does he do? How much does he earn? Where does he go? What does he do with his money? How can you reach him? Or her, or them, so all that. So it may be more than one, of course, type of customer, but you really want people to go down into detail and not take anything for granted. Because you turn around and say that, you're selling to this demographic, but you're going to advertise in the Financial Times. Is there a crossover? Do actually, university students read the Financial Times or something like that? Whatever you've worked up, whatever you've looked at is your target. So it's making sure that you know who they are, and then you can begin to really look at, how to reach those customers. So this is the business model template that we work through, and I'll be honest, we take a lot of time on this. We take a lot of time going through this with clients. We really get them to go through it once, to stick those post-it notes, whatever, onto the template, and then we leave it with them to go over it again and add to it. They themselves will add things to it, and then we'll meet again and go through it again and see what they've added and go over it again. And sometimes we get you get 6 or 7 or 8 thick or more in terms of post-it notes stuck on something. They've gone over, and you can see the progression, because what you're doing, you're helping the client to think about these things, which they may or may not have thought about before. Some of them they'll have down really well. They've thought about it. They've costed it really well. Other things not. Some of them may really be down. They've got the suppliers and alternative suppliers. Others not. And others, the receipt and handling of the funds is easy. So it's really and making sure you tailor this to every business. So even though some things are more relevant to different business models than others, but really every one of these 9 parts, if you like, is relevant to every business. There should be an answer. There can't be an answer. There's none of this not applicable. It's always applicable in some way. So that's the business model template, and obviously you can email me, go on the olympicsprintbusiness.com site, and contact me that way if you've got any questions, any feedback, anything you think we should add. But to be honest, I said we've worked with this template, and it's really been enough for a lot of startups that we work with. This has really been enough to really just about cover everything we do with them. All right, so I'll leave that with you, and see you in the. Good luck.